The Divi Blossi is a church in Mulhausen, Germany. It was built in the 13th and 14th century by the German order. Originally it was used as a Roman Catholic church, and later on it was converted to a Lutheran church. Currently it's a historical landmark in Germany.
As a brief roadmap of our presentation, we will be discussing the design, the style, the engineering, the art, and the culture of this church. But most importantly, we will be making connections to the Brooklyn Bridge throughout the presentation.
In looking at the design of the Divi Blossi and the Brooklyn Bridge, one sees striking comparisons between the two in terms of their arches and their high-reaching facades. Roebling's design of the Brooklyn Bridge was inspired by the Divi Blossi. Both edifices featured two tower-like structures reaching towards the sky.
As you can see, the shape and the construction of the arches in the bridge are very similar to that of the Divi Blossi. The pointed arches in particular are a classic feature of Gothic architecture, which are found in both edifices.
In talking about the design even further, John A. Roebling wanted to design more than a bridge. He wanted to make a work of art similar to the builders of the Divi Blossi. The Brooklyn Bridge not only connected Manhattan and Brooklyn, but it also connected them artistically and spiritually.
The style of the church was also very important, and this can be seen as the elements of its architectural style were the same as those used in French cathedrals at the very same time. As a matter of fact, it was the first large Gothic-style church in central Germany. Mulhausen is also known as the city of gates and churches, thus inspiring Roebling.
In regards to the engineering of the church and the bridge, both of them were made of limestone. The Divi Blossi was made of a travertine limestone which was quarried out of central Germany. Happened to be pretty abundant in the area. The Brooklyn Bridge was also made of limestone which was quarried out of the Catskill Mountains and was important in the building of its towers.
As we continue with engineering, we can see that Roebling used Gothic architecture for its structural stability as well as its minimal use of material. This allowed his bridges to withstand strong winds. Furthermore, the pointed arches provided more stability than traditional round arches.
Gothic cathedrals were the great engineering achievements in medieval Europe. The more developed structural projects like the Divi Blossi Church used the thinner walls to create a larger and more grander-looking space. This same concept was applied to the Brooklyn Bridge, which, with its thin and aerodynamic design to resist the wind.
The Divi Blossi was significant to Roebling because he was born and raised in Mulhausen, where the church is located. He was also baptized in the Divi Blossi. But furthermore, Roebling was surrounded by Gothic architecture all throughout his childhood years.
The Divi Blossi also had a significant impact in terms of art. It had vaulted ceilings, stained glass windows shown here which depict bright and colorful saints, and it also had an organ which was rebuilt a few times, in addition to the pointed arches.
The Brooklyn Bridge linked social classes just as the church did, since both the rich and the poor came together to use both of these structures. But we can also see that Roebling brought and applied German engineering to projects in America. He brought what he learned in Germany and applied it to the Brooklyn Bridge.
The Divi Blossi was a central place for religious and cultural practices. It also contained an organ and choir which facilitated cultural gatherings as discussed before. It was renamed to the Divi Blossi Kirche after the Lutheran Protestant Reformation, which took the saint problem out of the name.
The Divi Blossi Church was used to organize events of singers, musicians, and other entertainers around the area, which was extremely important to city life. Johann Sebastian Bach also started as an organist here. He designed the specifications for a new, bigger, and better organ upon leaving.
Furthermore, on culture transformations, this church is said to be where Bach discovered his passion for vocal music. The Divi Blossi was used as a cultural utility to engage in religious expression for the people of Mulhausen. Pictured here is one of the organs in the church today. Bach's was removed after a while.
As we move on to make artistic connections between the two structures, we can see that Georgia O'Keeffe recognized the spiritual elements of the Brooklyn Bridge. Georgia O'Keeffe also admired the Gothic design of the bridge, and pictured on the right is her painting entitled The Brooklyn Bridge.
More connections to the Brooklyn Bridge would be the drapey elements of the steel cables that mimic the ornate details of the church ceiling. Many writers, poets, and photographers have been inspired by the beauty, engineering, and architectural achievements of both landmarks.
Gothic architecture started to be built in France during the Gothic Age, which was the early 1400s, and then it spread to the rest of Europe. Initially, Gothic was used as a derogatory term. However, through the emergence of naturalism, Gothic architecture became classicalized and spiritualized.
Gothic architecture started. In regards to Gothic architecture's influence on society, Gothic architecture encouraged a popular theme of expressionistic exaggeration that led to the creation of outstanding Gothic sculptures in churches in Germany. Thus, Divi Blasi was born. To the right are some Gothic sculptures.
In conclusion, the Divi Blasi influenced many people and projects throughout all of human history. Gothic architecture in particular impacted art and engineering of the people who built America. And finally, the Brooklyn Bridge's inspiration can be dated back to 600 years before it even broke ground.